thought we would try it a little bit different, and we're outside here in the country. We are in the summer season, so we wanted to align with it. So welcome back, and thanks for returning again. I really appreciate that. I am going to go over some of my papers, and there's a lot of things that I want to share with you. As I said in my first video, what I am doing is I'm going to do these videos for every new and full moon of the month. I am going to include astrological energies. I am going to do some tarot card spreads, and maybe include a little bit of a ritual at the end. Could be a ritual, could be some magical practices, some suggestions, things that you can do to make this time a little easier. What I wanted to do today, though, was just kind of get into, I want to connect with, if you remember from the first video, that August was going to be a little bit of a tough journey for us. I don't know if the rest of you felt it, but it's funny because my daughter said to me at one point when I said, wow, I really called it on that first video, and she chuckled and said, well, did you think that you'd be kind of like, what's that word, when you don't have to experience it, exempt from it. And I just kind of laughed because it's been the energy has started off very slow, and with that, first we had the galactic new year, and then with that full moon, it's like bang, all these energies came and just opened, and then at the Lion Stargate, all these activations, and so for me, around these activations, it's like really understanding that activations carries, everything is multidimensional. So activations can be really blissful and ecstatic, but at the same time, it activates those things that we are not going to take with us into this new earth, into this new united way of being as a collective, and as an earth and as galactic beings. So right now, as we're moving into the new moon, there's a little bit before the new moon that I'd like to talk about, and then about the energies following the new moon as well, because there are a number of things. And as I said in the first video, I had mentioned that there was a lot of quincunxes, and quincunxes are where there's just not that compatibility, and there's just a lot of just opposing energies, and so it makes it a little bit different to be able to navigate the time. So we have this clarity right now, but it's really hard to kind of like smoothly move through it because there are other things that need to be taken care of first. Okay, so I'm just going to go to my notes a little bit because there was a couple things that I thought would be really helpful for people to be aware of. Okay, so also recognizing we just passed Lunasa. So weaving in, we've got the Lion Stargate, and also at the same time, just before that, we stepped into the first harvest of the season. So here we are where, the sun is starting to wane a little bit. We're harvesting what we have planted, and we're moving towards the September, the autumn equinox, where we harvest and we start going even deeper into the divine feminine energies, into the darkness of the cycle in winter. And so at this new moon, what's interesting is that we're in Leo, okay? So Leo is very fiery. Leo is fixed. Leo is masculine. So it's like we've got all this very strong energy. And one of the things that I work with too is that I weave in the tarot into astrology. And in Leo, the 5, 6, and 7 of Wands are associated with Leo. And there are also sub-rulers, which are like the Chaldean system. But so basically, I'm not going to get into it here. That's stuff that I go into in my class. But I just wanted to bring out the essence of that because it does influence us in the sense of 5 of Wands is kind of like different aspects of our personality, kind of like fighting to get the attention. It's like we don't know this and we don't know that. And we got all this like uncertainty going on. you know, and we fight, and so different aspects of ourselves are fighting to drive the car, per se, you know, and at the same time, while we're moving through that kind of energy, we're actually, during August 12th to 22, we move through 5, 6, and 7, and Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars are the sub-rulers of Leo. So it's kind of like, as we move through, it shifts it a little bit into different energies. And 7 of Wands, again, it's kind of like you get yourself to the top, but it's how you view it. 7 is very much, you know, that place where you've worked so hard to get there, but you've had to struggle, and it's almost hard to trust that you trust the success or trust the power. And that's a piece of this month, is really owning our power and our mastery. One of the things around personal sovereignty, and I'm going to go into that a little bit later, because there are a lot of stargates this month. There's these quincunxes and these oppositions, and then we've got all these stargates, so we've got all this energy. And I know for myself, it's like, I'm like, wow, these activations are incredible, and then I'm like, I can't move. I have such a headache, oh my God, you know. So there are these extremes of energy, and it's not about resisting right now. And that's the key. I mean, it's never really about resisting at all, but August is really instrumental. Also, because of the new moon is an extremely powerful time. It's connected back to 2017, the eclipse that we had, because it's lined up in the sky at the same time. And in 2017, it's when a lot of these stargates are initiated. What I would invite you to do is to go back to 2017, you know, and remember, what did I initiate? You know, that's a big part of this one. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to mention was before the new moon is that really, what's really important while we walk through this next little bit is to pay attention, because we can be very drawn to think big, and we got to move back into what we can control and limit our exposure to scattering thoughts and emotions, because that's going to distract us. And when we are not aligned with the frequencies of Gaia and the cosmos, then we are not in the same frequency as the light that's coming in, and as the new downloads and intel and all the information, and creating that intimacy, recognizing this is also not new energy. This was a beginning. It was first created in January and February of 2020. So, which, yeah, it makes sense to me, because the winter solstice is really, you know, it's the beginning of a new cycle. And at the same time, it's a Stargate cycle. So it's been started, initiated then. So it's bringing back those things from there as well. So we've got 2017 plus the beginning of this year. And it's helping, the universe is helping us finish, kind of move through what we need to in order to get to those places that our hearts desire. So you will maybe have noticed that just before this new moon, things started shifting a little. And that's because on the 16th, we had these quincunx, and Venus was square Chiron. And so Chiron is all about the wounded healer. And then you've got Venus, who's about our relationships, our emotional relationships. And so all these wounds we're starting. So it was a little bit tough. But then what was nice is that right after that, on the same day, the Sun trine Mars and Mercury trine Mars. So the energy started shifting, and there started to be a little bit of movement. So you might have noticed that little bit of change. And at the same time, though, on the 15th, Uranus started moving retrograde. And with Uranus, we've got huge, it's like a train coming into a train station, and that reverberation, it's like, oh, you know, and really slow, and then it moves backwards. That's kind of that energy, and then it shoots out. And Uranus is like that. It like calls for radical change. So, and it's like that, it's a planet of freedom and breaking the chains, you know. So there's this feeling of really wanting to go, but recognizing it's retrograde. You know, we've got all these planets in retrograde, but they're all the planets that are the collective, the soul planet, the farther out planets. The personal planets are direct. You know, they're all going direct right now. So that makes it a little bit easier on us. But the planets from our soul's journey and from the cosmic levels are, there's like 5 or 6 retrograde. I think 6. Anyway, so that's kind of where we're at this point. So I'm talking about how these energies are being like pushed up and we're really being invited to reflect on them. And at the same time as the new moon is in Leo and we've got all this energy from 2017, Mercury and the Sun are quincunx Saturn. And so Saturn is very much a, you know, disciplinarian almost. And Saturn's like, no, 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 stop. It's not time yet. You know, it'll come back. But now is not the time. So it's like, don't force things. Just trust. Be with what rises. Be with all that is being activated. Because August has a great influence on how, when we step into December's and January's around the conjunction, when things are really going to form. This month has a lot to do with that. So this is a really important month. How are you loving yourself? How are you taking care of yourself? You know, setting clear intentions at this new moon and recognizing Leo is fire and masculine. And soon after the moon, and Virgo is earth and feminine. And Virgo is kind of like solutions and coming up with ideas and gets to the details of things. You know, and so we've got that energy that's coming on the 22nd. But from the 18th to the 22nd, I think there's going to be, I feel like there's going to be a little bit of that accentuation of the timeline split. Because essentially, that's when really we felt the timeline split in a lot of ways. It started to in 2017, where, and it's not about waking the ones and the ones that aren't. It's more about the ones that are in pain and really kind of struggling and resisting. And I'm not talking that, oh, you know, I'm so glad I'm like over here and I could just be, you know, I could be in this country place. I acknowledge that, you know, I have a lot of privilege. I'm able to be here in the country. I have this equipment, recordings. I am very grateful. And at the same time, it's no matter where we are, it's recognizing the timeline split is talking about our internal choices. You know, it's like I listen to Michaela Sheldon sometimes, and she does these channelings, and she was talking about here, and I wrote it down, of how, you know, it's timeline split between suffering and peace. So yes, for some of us, it is easier, definitely. You know, I acknowledge that. You know, even though I went through my story of my life, I still had a lot of privilege being a white person. You know, and so, and at the same time, we have that ability to always make the choice from wherever we are. So it's whether we choose peace or whether we choose fighting and resistance and anger. Sometimes resistance and anger is necessary, but it comes from our heart, because what we resolve and what we desire is unity and respect and harmony and love. The key is, like she says here, intense awakening and shifts in consciousness have started a process deep within and upon the earth. And the bottom line is we are now choosing the free and joyful timeline, or one in which we struggle more. So yes, it's not easy, but that is why we need to take care of each other. That's why we need to learn to receive, to take care and connect and reach out and see where we can give in our local community and to our neighbors and our family. I'm finding a lot of it has to do with our homes. You know, it's like taking care of you. And with the Leo, with the sun, and being so strong with these activations and all these old things being activated, plus all these new frequencies and new light coming in, it is difficult sometimes to come back to the mundane and to be in a place of trust and acceptance and gratitude when all around the external world is giving us all of this. So I'd like to go back for a second to talking about the transition on August 22. So we've got the new moon in Leo that's connected a lot to 2017 stargates opening and to all the stuff being activated at Lionsgate. Setting our intentions, being clear. And I'll go in the end of the video a little bit more that you can do. It's a very important time. And soon, like I said, after that, then we move into Virgo. But Virgo rules the digestive system. Leo is the heart. And really, if we could bring our mind, body, and heart together, if the fire of Leo can meet the earth of Virgo, and they can come together, then it's like taking that creative energy that wants to live, your heart's desire, what you envision, and that passion that you have, and propelling it. And really, Virgo, in that feminine, is when we can ground it and earth it. Virgo's very good at paying attention to detail, is to getting things done, and really valuing the work. Most of my life, I said to some people before that I was like a walking head. It's like I had so many addictions and so much chronic pain and abuse, and I just disassociated from my body. I treated it like shit. And so it took me years of healing and learning and support and community and all kinds of things to get to this place of honoring my body as a living essence of the feminine, of the goddess, God is God. It's like, so my mind is connected to the crystallized consciousness, to the divine masculine, but my body is the one that shows and teaches me. So in Virgo, it's really opposite. The difficulty sometimes with Virgo is if you're resistant. You get into control, and you try to control everything, and you try to resist, and you try to say how things should be, and you almost get caught up and obsessive about it, and that's not healthy either. And that's where we need balance. So it's really, and also because of these other energies with Mars and Aries, it's very important to use the tools and to do those things that can take care of your body, take care of your heart, meditation and spiritual practice for your mind, and then you can start looking at how you can express your artist design. With all these energies, around the 24th, Virgo and Mercury go quincunx with Chiron. So again, we've got a little bit. So August is a little bit of that tough area. So that's where we need to be easy on ourselves and keep our minds strong. And even around the end of the month, Venus opposes Pluto and Mercury opposes Neptune. So there's these powers and these fantasies and illusions, like we could get caught up in that, and that's why it's really important to practice. I actually was shuffling my sacred geometry cards, and we'll post at the bottom which cards those are. But it's kind of easy because one of the cards fell out, and it's called the frequency of empowerment. And that is very much empowerment. So we're moving into this place of power within instead of power without. And here it says, the frequency of empowerment supports our ability to show up fully and completely, uniting us with others in the deep trust that we are all connected through the same source. That if you sit and meditate with this sacred geometry, you can take in the energy of empowerment and activate that within your own DNA, because that is what we're doing at this point, is also activating our DNA. We're rebundling and recharging it in ways that is more one with source than the old imprints that we have been carrying personally and collectively for a very long time. So again, at the same time, it says here, show up fully and completely. And I almost feel like, in a way, that's that piece where we also need to take responsibility for our own families, our own way we communicate, the way we listen. Those things, we need to be responsible, and we need to choose that if there are those that are negative, or those that we come bump up against, instead of resisting them, maybe we could infuse them with love and with energy and share the light that comes through us, be a conduit for the light. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is I'm going to put that there for now. All the kingdoms and elementals joining us here, and supporting us in this. I have, as you see, my labradorite and my carnelian and my pyrite and my hangsite. You know, these are definitely all allies for us. It's reaching out to the allies and letting them support us. Okay, one more. Right. 3 cards for this little piece of time that we're entering. Put that there. Let's see. Whew. Okay. So what I do want to just acknowledge at the beginning is that the card that fell out is the 4 of Wands. And it's kind of interesting to me because I remember from the first video we had the 2 of Cups. And here, it's like, once again, they're joining together. But the 4 of Wands is further down. The 4 of Wands is that place where you actually do step into that union with a strong foundation. And creating strong foundations right now, that's key. But that foundation needs to be within you. Because if we count on the external world to give us a strong foundation, then that ain't gonna go well. You know, I'm just gonna say it blunt, because that's just, you know, we all know that's not something that we can depend on. We need to do it within us first. So the first card that I got, it's kind of interesting here that I've got these 3. I've got the Page of Wands. So the Page of Wands, it's interesting because we've got the 4 of Wands and the Page of Wands, and they're both pretty young cards in the tarot. They're both very connected to the mundane world in a way. And the Page is very childlike. So it's almost like and it makes sense to me, because if I think about even my own life, you know, it's kind of like all these new activations and these new ways of being. You know, I was very familiar with my old identity, and now I'm in this place of in between where this is very new. I'm a page at doing these videos. This is only my 2nd one, you know, and so it's allowing ourselves to really listen, you know, listen to your heart's desire, listen to your passion, and have the courage to step out, but also have the courage to be vulnerable and be that child. It's a scary thing. You know, it's like my daughter is writing a book, and she's putting it out right now. And this is her first one, and she's terrified. And at the same time, you know, we do it anyway. The interesting part about that, for me, is that the middle card is the Devil. To me, when I look at this, it's like, yes, you know, I see this in relationship. You know, we've got the Page of Wands, we've got the Devil, and then we also have the Page of Swords. So to me, it's really interesting. It actually, because it goes around this place of union and stepping out. Okay, 3 of Wands is like, okay, we finally have the courage to leave the castle and go to the unknown territory. You know, and I'll just use this as an example. You know, doing these videos. You know, I finally had the courage to gather the things and step out and do it. And at the same time, as I'm doing it, I've got this devil, this old energy feeling bounded. And I am sure that there are many that can identify with that feeling that as soon as you, just before and just after you step into something new, that it's like the old imprints, the old conditioning all those old voices, all those old wounds come out like, and it's recognizing the ego. Okay, so this is the ego. We don't want to stomp on the ego and kill the ego. We want a healthy ego because the ego is here to assist us. We chose to be here in these human vessels. And this is a fall card. And we're entering into the fall. So we are entering as children, you know, and in the tarot, it's very much the fool is the one that walks the journey. But the fool, you know, it's like, you don't even have a clue there's anything to be afraid of. You just do it. It's like those children, right? It's like fearless. It's like stepping off anywhere. It's like, no, don't do that. You know, and that's where, you know, we need that kind of innocence and that kind of fearlessness. And at the same time, there's the Page of Swords. She has a pretty big sword in her hand, you know, but she looks pretty confident. And she's taken it up. And she is saying, I believe in myself and I'm going to do it. You know, and that's a big key in it. And it feels to me like those parts of ourselves, take care of your inner child, take care of yourself as you step out into this place of union. As we step out into following our passions, it's key to do that. And for many of us, we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to think that taking care of ourselves, you know, it's very much becoming an outdated thing to think that, and that's very much the old devil and the old paradigm, that it's very selfish to think of ourselves. We're supposed to be martyrs, we're supposed to sacrifice, we're supposed to rescue and save, and we're supposed to basically kill ourselves in the process. That ain't going to be around in the 5D. It's all about unconditional love. It's all about loving ourselves as one. Because, and I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and we are all light, and we are all love. And none of us are exempt from that, you know, and that's the difference. So, yes, but we have to be selfish to get there. We have to learn to put ourselves first. So before I get into the ritual piece, I want to pull a card from the Starseed Oracle too, because I just really love bringing in and weaving in the energies of since I'm doing so much light work and work with starseeds. I've been really, more and more people have been coming forth that are starseeds, and we really want the support in how to be here. And that's that child energy too, right? It's like, how do I be in this humanity with this place of knowing I'm a star and I'm a pure being? And you know, that takes some work. And we need to be grounded. We need to make sure we eat the right food. You know, we give great gratitude to the earth. We go out in nature. The Cosmic Heart. It's a really beautiful card. Oh, this leads right into, actually, it's kind of funny because it leads right into the stuff that I was going to talk about the magical practices and spiritual practices. It's the Cosmic Heart. Okay, and it says, devotion, potency, making your life a moving prayer. And I really love that because part of this work is, it's not going in to meet somebody, you know, or going to a workshop or going to, you know, reading a book and then leaving it. It's about daily practice. And I could even use myself as an example. You know, it's like the need for spiritual practice. Because if we just wake up and we just get up and we just go, then we're not connected to our spirit bodies. We respect it. We brush our teeth. We love our teeth. You know, we have our coffee. So we have that we feed our body, but how do you feed your spirit? And I find, you know, I was saying to somebody the other day, I was doing a session with somebody, and we were talking about tools that they could use to be able to move through this time and to be able to sustain this new way of being, because we are children. I mean, if you look at these cards, it's like, these are very young beings, young human beings. And this is a very scary, otherworldly monster, gluttonous. It's very powerful. So in order to be able to stay true to ourselves, we need something that sustains us, So a daily spiritual devotion to our heart, devotion to the cosmic heart, devotion to our own heart, devotion to our vision. And that's where doing the spiritual practice and doing meditations each day can be really helpful. I wanted to actually mention, before I explain a little bit of the ritual, is I wanted to also add that water right now is a very crystalline substance. If you think of water, it's probably the closest to crystalline in having that light frequency, the plasma light. And so infusing ourselves and washing ourselves and drinking and being in water can really, and when you're drinking it, to do it with intention, to put love into that water. I infuse this water with love and harmony and joy, and may, when I drink it, that I too experience that within me, and that I may walk my walk in this life from that place. And you can let this water sit in the sun or under the moon. Part of this is with Leo being heart and Virgo, all this area in our body is really to actively do the work to open our hearts. Because we want to strengthen our will and open our hearts so that the creative energies can move through us. So it's like, what are your intentions? Take some time to sit with, maybe your writing practice can be what you do in the morning. Maybe meditation's not your thing. Maybe you can do some morning pages. And I realized that my life was very different when I incorporated that practice in the morning instead of just running through my day because I was conducted. Now I also do my decrees. So decrees you can look at Sandra Walter's website. She's got some there, or you can make up your own. I am sort of like mantras and affirmations, but it's almost like in a way that is a command, is stronger from your will and your heart connected from above and below, and you are the conduit, and recognizing I am a creator being. I allow, welcome in and forth my higher self. I welcome in my divine entourage. I welcome in my star family. I am the creator of my life. And making things like that up, that kind of voice, remember sound is your unique signature. So speak it. And those things really help us to open our heart, activate our will, ground our energies, expand, and then we can take in these light frequencies that are coming in August, and we can stand next to the devil and go, yeah, you're just one ugly, and you got no power on me, man. Sorry. Thank you. Goodbye. Expressing the freedom codes in any way that you can. So it's like when there's distortions and they occur, or that you feel that you're trapped, recognize we want to build these freedom codes, because these are the freedom codes is what's coming in. A lot of that's going on collectively and all around, pretty well all around the world, is around freedom, is liberation. We want to be free of the constraints. We want to be free of capitalism. We want to be free of corporations. We want to be free to express ourselves and to be one with the earth and plant and do what we feel called to do. Then we got to strengthen those freedom codes. And we can't do that. We can't jump on top of that tree. We got to learn how to be with the tree. So we start at the bottom. So when you say, I can't do that because shift your language. I am owning my freedom. I am reclaiming my freedom. Change your language. Start activating those freedom codes. Feel it in your body. It takes time because we are retraining ourselves. We are retraining ourselves to be in a new creator state beingness. And this is the wands, and we're retraining our thoughts. We have been conditioned to think a certain way for so long. But really, truly, there is room for celebration. This is a hand fasting. This is a union. This is diversity. This is love. So it's be gentle. It's going to take time. So be in that place of connecting with nature. Watch how nature grows. I was saying to somebody the other day, in Hamilton, there's this big industrial plot. And it's like, if that industrial plot left and all we had was the barren land, we can't expect to just grow, put some seeds in the ground and grow some beautiful flowers there. We need to regenerate the soil. We need to regenerate the land. We need to really help it come alive again because it has been destroyed at so many levels. And we could do some grid work. We can send in light and we can do, but that's what we have to do. This is us right now. That industrial building has been on top of us for centuries. And now we are starting to reclaim it. But we gotta really make sure that our soil has a life substance, has energy, has light, has these new codes that can feed it, like nurturing fertilizer, not fake chemicals. It's organic. So it's like, do you choose inorganic or do you choose organic? And I'm not talking just food. I'm talking life. Is it an organic flow or is it an inorganic? I recognize that I've been talking for a while. I get going and get pretty excited about this. I wanted to just sort of like share a little bit of a ritual, and I have a little bit of my tobacco. So, and if you don't have tobacco, then find something else that you can offer. Okay, and I also have, I have it kind of in the ground here, but I have this candle, this red candle. So to me, it's kind of like this is my creative passion. This is Leo, this is fire. This has been things that are stirring in me. And I'm going to go to the land because Virgo is the earth. I would like to unite masculine and feminine. I would like to take that creative passion and I would like to ground it into the earth. And I would like to unite it and say, yes, but I'm going to go first and I'm going to offer the tobacco and ask where I go if it's okay. And I'm going to thank the land. And I'm going to ask my higher self to merge with me and to command the ritual. I'm going to invite in my ascended masters, my guides, star families, goddesses, gods, whoever you work with, to assist me. I'm going to create my sacred space around me, invite in the elementals, acknowledge I am an elemental, earth, air, fire, water, spirits. I am all of those. In essence, even beyond that, I'm actually light, a vessel that I am in here as Gaia is that. So I'm all, we are all, but really get into that space. And then have with you these intentions. Get some clarity. Go back to 2017. Go back to the beginning of this year before all this started. It feels like years ago. When COVID started, but January, February of 2020, this was before. It's like, did things start changing for you? I know for me, this is very, very synchronistic that I'm here right now because when I look at January, February 2020, everything was changing already then about my business and about how I viewed reality in myself and where I was going in my work. And in 2017, it also was a great change for me. I made some choices that were very different than before. So if you can, try to revisit it. I'm very blessed that I have my journals, so I can go back to them. But hey, like my daughter does, she can go back on her Facebook and see, what were her videos and pictures back then. I would say, put it in the ground, light it, and really be clear. You could put some sigils on your candles, some symbols. If you don't know what sigils are, there's lots of videos on sigils. Or you could just put anything in your candle. You could inscribe it. You don't even have to do that. You could burn your paper, not in getting it away, but sending the messages up. And just be in a quiet space as it goes down. Now, if you have something like this, it may be that you have this as a daily reminder that you light it and you activate it with the earth and fire together. And then you put it on your altar at home. And when you do your meditation, bring you right back to that space. Put your hands on your heart, reconnect to that intention, light, from love, from the energies from below. Take that step forward for that day. The light bulb opens. One step at a time. So I do thank you for being with me. I'm really enjoying doing this, so thanks for joining me. And like I said, I have different classes coming up in the fall. I do have a tarot class, live tarot classes at your own pace or with small groups if you want to get started now. I also have a Lightworker Circle support that I'm doing on Sunday mornings. And I do a lot of readings and guidance one-on-one. So connect with me and check out my website, and we're on Facebook, and I'd love to hear from you. So thank you.